into the homegrown wisdom.
And
We're already
I hope
recording.
that's what it comes out as.
Right. Well, here we go, gentlemen. So we've got Mr. Garcia. So, Stephen, I want to give you a proper introduction because, I'm just recalling as I'm preparing for this call. I'm like, yeah, you left such a good first impression on me. Really respectful. I just remember the first time. I don't know where we were. I just remember the handshake, the eye contact, the sincere. It's nice to meet you. So just right off the bat, very likable. Then I'm looking at the numbers and I'm like, oh, this guy's no joke. I mean, anytime the Angus org had a contest, whether it's top 10, it's almost like they should just kind of disqualify you because it's kind of like, okay, he's going to take number one, kind of like a Larry Bird thing, like, hey, which one of you suckers is taking second place, in the three
Shooting
point.
competition.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously you are a super high performer. I'm thinking as an experienced owner, consultant, I'm like, oh, he's probably going to struggle with the team building process because he's going to have a hard time relating to the mere mortal people like me that aren't as good as him in the field. You get into ownership, took you a minute to get into ownership. And then all of a sudden, after, I don't know, a couple years of being an owner, you really started getting into a groove. And now here you are potentially competing with the top 10 ICLs in the company.
13 right now.
Number what, 13 you said?
13, yeah.
13. Like you're going to run a $2 million plus ICL. So, and I'm just led to believe too, it's just a matter of time until you're really running a killer organization with killers like you on your team. So anyway, I just want to tee you up properly because again, I do think you deserve some recognition for being just a genuine human being, an unbelievable rep in the field, like making $100,000 as a rep in the field. Hey, Jamie, no problem. And now a $2 million ICL guy. So again, I just want to tee you up properly. Anything you want to say when I'm throwing you all these wonderful accolades before we start?
You could just keep talking about me if you want. No, just kidding.
That's all I have. I ran out of good things.
No, please keep it coming. Appreciate you. You know what? I think I was this week actually was a really tough week. A guy I promoted a market director. Him and I had a really big argument. It did not go well. And I started reflecting, and I think my current superpower is I just don't keep making the same mistakes. And as a rep, I did. As a rep, I continued to make the same mistakes. And I thought talent and specifically sales ability would overcome all of the character defects or lack of maturity in leadership or certain areas. And as an owner, there's no room for that. If you're just a good salesperson, then, or even let's even take it one step further. If you're a good salesperson and a good sales trainer, and maybe even a good interviewer, that's still not enough to compel people to want to, for lack of better words, pick up their cross and follow you. And that's something I'm constantly asking myself. Why should these people trust me with their lives? They're not just trusting me for a job. Well, some are, but most of them are trusting me with their whole livelihood. And that wasn't something I took seriously before because I was more focused on what I could accomplish and me, and I wanted to be a shining star. And there's really you don't get anywhere far by doing that. I mean, something that Sabs would always say that stuck out to me was, I've never met a great business person that isn't a great salesperson, but I've met a lot of great salespeople that make shitty business owners. And that stuck with me. And every year I've made improvements in very specific areas. And I'm not looking to hit home runs. I'm looking to consistently get on base. With all the decisions I make, I just want to take steps forward. And just like in the stock market, like I have a guy on my team, we're sitting in Alpha and we're talking about habits and this and that. And he's telling me that he wants to start working out more. And so I started asking him questions about what his current routine looks like. And he's telling me, well, I wake up at 6, and then he didn't really fill in anything. He said, I wake up at 6, and then I come into the office at about 10:30, 11. Like, well, what are you doing for that time period? He's day trading every morning. And so he's telling me about all of his stocks and his futures, his options that he does and everything. And he spends 3 hours every morning. I asked him, well, how much are you up for the day? He said, $300. I said, hey, man, that's great. You want to know what my investment strategy is? Auto reoccurring buys the same day every single week for the same amount. And I know over a long enough period of time, using the index, what's going to happen? It's just going to keep going up. It's something that a wise man named Jamie Hepp once mentioned is the S&P 500 goes up annually between 8 and 10%. And if you follow the lessons of the mailman that became a multimillionaire, compounding interest will take effect. So I've really, really taken compounding interest so seriously in my life, from my personal habits, my growth habits, health and fitness, to my business. 100% of it is I have to find inflection points within compounding interest and focus on that. Just keep that going. And for me, it's learning the lessons that are there. I don't try to learn everything all at once. I want a theme for the year, and I just want to stay there. If I were a basketball player, I'm just working on my left hand. That's it. All year, I'm just working on my left hand. I think a lot of people, they want to work on the left and then the right and then the crossover and then this and that and back and forth. And it's, the old saying, I don't fear the man that can do 1,000 kicks, but the man that can do one kick 1,000 times or practice 1,000 times. And I butchered it a little bit, but you guys get the point. And that's really my philosophy with everything that I do. You didn't see it, but I actually sucked as a rep for like my first month. I think my first 3 weeks, I was dog shit. I wasn't above minimum standards. I didn't get promoted till like week 5 or 6. For me, that's an eternity, because every day was 24 hours of me obsessing to try to get good at this thing. Whereas I think a lot of people, they come in, they have like 3 hours of focus time. Whereas it was the only thing I was thinking about for 24 hours a day. So I was thinking about it 8 times the amount that they were per day. So my 5 or 6 weeks is actually like the normal person's 8 months. So to me, it took an eternity. Speaking of, actually, Stephen and I were reps at the same time, and I was other Stephen for a while, which it was interesting. I call him Steve anyway. It makes it easier for my brain. But so compounding interest. So the lessons recently that I learned, my first year, I learned that it's not the campaign, it's you. Quit being a beep. That was my first year my lesson as a first year. I changed campaigns twice and moved cities all in a 12-month span. It was a nightmare. I don't know what my final numbers were for my first year, but it was absolutely terrible. And I had less money at the end of the year than I did when I opened my business. Second year, it was a lot of me putting my nose down and supercharging everything. I was spearheading absolutely everything. I was training every new start. I was high rolling the office every single day, every single week. And I was putting as much space between dollar amounts between zero and the amount that I could. I was taking no paychecks. I was just selling. I was living off of savings. And I just didn't lift my head up to see how I was doing for over a year. Then the next year was, hey, I need to learn how to run a good business. I need to learn how to make this a place people are proud to work, be a part of. I need to make this a place where people feel safe. I need to make this a place that's scalable. I can't stand up here and say I'm providing opportunity and there not be a system for it. I'm a piece of shit. I'm a liar. I'm a fraud if that's what I'm doing. And so I took scalability and systems really, really, really serious in year 2 to year 3. And that was all I was focused on. I think I created 6 or 7 different scripts for our team. evaluated multiple different schedule options and this and that. Now, I'll save you some of the details. I did come full circle to a lot of the things I was taught by Sebastian, because the dude was fucking incredible at running a business. I learned from him as he was transitioning more to a consultant. And so I watched Freed Mosini, who just got promoted to consultant, run a little bit more. But I mean, Sebastian, he really did lay some groundwork for an amazing business to be ran. And I experimented a lot and came full circle to a lot of those things. And so systemizing everything from top to bottom was that next lesson. Last year, it was just learning how to put all those pieces together and figure out how to actually promote a market director. Figure out how to actually build somebody up from, hello, my name is Steve, this is what we're doing in a first round interview, to crying at their promotion speech and handing them a business. And this year I'm figuring out how to not build through any one person, but instead build multiple teams all at once and provide immense opportunity for a lot of people. So at this point in time, we have anywhere between 8 to 10 teams that are being built. And we just promoted our second market director for the year. And within the next 6 months, we will have a minimum of another 2 more market directors out. So, and I'm also learning how to actually coach market directors, because it's negotiation now. You don't have the leverage of, and I don't use this wording, but there's the undertone of, this is my business, you know that, right? Whereas it's all negotiation. If there are disagreements between somebody you promote out, hey, the time to teach them something different was before you promoted them. They're out. They're now an adult in the real world, and whatever habits they have, good or bad, they're out there, and all you can do is coach through negotiation and through relationships and influence. And if you don't have that, and there are some frays in the relationship that you weren't aware of, it will boil up in the long run. So I'm learning that this year, which is a lot of fun. So yeah, I mean, that gives you guys a little bit of context for my journey over the last few years.
Well,
we're pacing for 2.5, by the way.
2.5.
Thank you. Don't sell me short. I love you.
Well, you've answered a lot of questions that I didn't even ask yet, Stephen. So look at that. You're reading my mind or something like that. But I want to throw you a couple things. I got a couple thoughts on things you said.
Please.
And that you're a huge Kobe fan, so I think you can appreciate this. But last week, Jeannie Buss sold the Lakers for how much? You know the dollar amount?
11.
I think it was 10 billion.
10. Okay, 10. Yeah.
So 10 billion. Remember how much her dad bought the Lakers for?
200? I remember seeing it too.
So in 1979, okay, so many moons ago, bought it for 67 million.
67, okay, 67.
Now that seems to impress a lot of people, like, oh my goodness, right? $67 million and it turns into 10 billion. But here's an interesting little kicker for you. I sent this to PBD before he goes too big on like the Lakers and what they've done. If he would have stuck that money in the S&P index instead of a sports team, he would have had $13 billion, right? So the Lakers was a loss, comparatively speaking. So I love what you're doing. You're having recurring investments happening in the S&P. This is how people get rich. You just need compound interest. You need time on your side. So as all you young Turks are making money, don't go blowing it all. Just keep investing for the future, and you guys are going to be just fine.
I spend $150 a week on food.
Yeah.
Unless I go out to eat, and what I pay myself is for investments and bills, and I really do have a very modest life. And until I'm sitting where you are, I don't feel like I've accomplished very much. There's so much work to do.
Yeah, well, hey, I got work to do too, dude. I'm not there yet. I don't own the Lakers. I didn't buy it. It wasn't me.
True. PBD's in the Yankees, right?
Yes, he's a minority shareholder in the New York Yankees. So, but again, S&P might be a better investment than the Yanks. We'll see.
Hey man, I believe.
So another thought I had, as you're talking about, hey, you don't want to be I know you didn't say this, but you don't want to be, as an owner, you don't want to be a snake oil salesperson talking all this big opportunity, and then you're you're not doing your end of the bargain. You're not coming through for your guys. So I love the way Ed Cunliffe articulates this. He says, you know, you're in big trouble as an owner if opportunity is just theory. I just love that. If it's just a theory, like it's not really happening, if it's not reality, like, hey, you might be in big trouble. So, maybe remember that one. So again, back to the Lakers. I know you're a big Kobe fan. It wasn't that long ago we met up at some kind of meeting. You're like, hey, Hap, I got a gift for you. And you gave me a goat shirt, a Mamba mentality, like you're a huge Kobe Bryant fan. And interesting. I mean, your career is similar to Kobe's. I mean, I had a front row seat. I moved to LA the same time Kobe moved to LA. Phil Jackson, I remember in an interview one time was asked, hey, what's the difference between, Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant? Because, you've coached two of the best the world has ever seen. And he said, well, MJ figured out leadership a little quicker. Like it took Kobe a little while longer to really figure out how to lead. Lately, I'm on this kick on Connor McDavid. Like he's got to increase his leadership a lit. I mean, I don't want to be a hater, and he's probably going to get traded from the Oilers and go to Tampa Bay or something like that. We'll see. But I am questioning his leadership. I think Leon Draisaitl is really the leader of the Edmonton Oilers. But anyway, I don't want to get too far down a rabbit hole. Your thoughts on Kobe? Why is Kobe such an important dude for you? And do you see a parallel with your career and what's, Kobe's life?
Yeah, well, I mean, to speak on Kobe's story, he grew up in a really interesting situation. He was born in America, living in Italy as a child, hardly spoke the language, and didn't really have very many friends. I moved around a lot as a kid and I was always making new friends, never really had friends that I had for a long time. And I think that forces you as a young human to adapt accordingly. And I just isolated and I took up things that you didn't need other people for, like skateboarding, surfing. I ultimately got into football and wrestling. Football was weird for me because I just didn't know how to play with other people. Wrestling was perfect because it's just you against one other person. And as long as you're the best of the weight class, you got the spot. So wrestling was really natural for me. It's martial arts, and then some of those extreme sports. And I just became really obsessed with like my personal growth in whatever I'm obsessed with at the time. And I think Kobe was very much that same way. And that type of personality is much harder for that. It's much harder for that person to transition more into a trainer or coach role. Because some things they just know, hey, we'll just suck at it for hours and hours and hours and hours of practice until you finally figure out one thing. And then you incorporate that one thing with the next thing. And then all of a sudden, 2 years later, you've mastered this thing because you've obsessed and put so much time into it. And that's how I've been my whole life. And with that works really well in sales, especially if you're transitioning that into communication and people. But it does not translate into leadership because all that personal growth is you're still looking inward constantly. You're not considering how somebody else is feeling or how somebody else is perceiving something. And honestly, I think the book that helped me see it the most, How to Win Friends and Influence People, was one. I'm going to stop talking about myself. People are checking out. It's the only thing I think about when I'm trying to accomplish my goals. That and the 4 agreements, just not taking things personal, understanding that everybody just is in their own lane of existence. And I just started falling in love with people and really enjoying helping people and teaching people lessons. And Kobe had the same ambassador transition where he was 2008 is when he really made the transition. But for 12 years of his career, he didn't associate with people. And I mean, Stephen can point to it. I was kind of like on the outside looking in of the office we were in. I didn't really fit in with anybody there. I had the people I would train with, but I was like too competitive to get close to people. And I think when you take that same energy towards cooperation, instead of trying to beat people, instead of thinking win, lose, think win, win, you're able to make some of those connections. And Kobe did it between 2008 and the time he retired. And at the end of it, he made massive impacts in the league, in people's lives, and so much so that his farewell tour, the last season, it was like everybody couldn't stop talking about the influence, the impact Kobe made on them, and the mentorship. And I think that's where you find more fulfillment in life. It is in leadership and adding value to other people. And I always thought in terms of transactional relationships, instead of reciprocating relationships, that it's more based on faith, where I'm just giving and I'm watering the plant and making deposits and not really making withdrawals, but people still find ways to add value to your life, even if you're not expecting that return. And then there's more of a gratitude within the exchange. And I've gone through a very similar path. I don't know if it was me just learning about the guy and then creating parallels, or if it just similar upbringings as far as isolation. But I remember always, I really wasn't a huge Kobe fan in the early days. I was more of like an Allen Iverson guy, even Tracy McGrady. It wasn't until Shaq left and I saw him go through the ups and downs, and I saw how he turned it around with the 2007, 8, 9, and 10 teams. That's when I respected him just as a human being. Like, this guy is absolutely top tier when it comes to overcoming and persevering through turmoil. And then hearing his interviews after his career, it was like he was saying things that I always believed and felt and thought, and he was just articulating in a way that just made so much sense, and it helped me understand a little bit about what I was experiencing that I just didn't know how to articulate. Forever thankful for that, for sure. R.I.P.
It's interesting, and I don't know if I don't tell many people this, but when I became a huge Kobe fan, obviously I'm a basketball fan, and him and Shaq winning some championships was awesome, and being at Staples Center, everybody's high-fiving each other outside Staples Center. One guy could be a billionaire and the next guy could be a homeless guy, but everybody was on an equal playing field. So I'm like, oh, like it was kind of a nice red carpet welcome to the city of Los Angeles when I moved here. But I became a big Kobe fan right after the Denver situation where he was accused of rape and there's this trial. Now, I wasn't a fan then. I'm like, whether Kobe, whether it was rape or not, the fact that he's cheating on his wife, I became a Kobe hater. Like,
Sure.
I'm just like, being a character driven guy, I'm like, yeah, Kobe Bryant, bad stuff. And then he turned it around, and obviously Vanessa forgave him. So
Yeah.
I'm like, well, who am I to judge if his wife? So obviously I'm not there. I don't know, but she's repairing the relationship. She didn't leave him and take half his money, whatever else. And he really turned it around. Like I saw him become a dad and I want to say this character driven guy, at least in his interviews. But yeah, I became a huge Kobe fan after hitting that low where he was embarrassed publicly and was facing potential jail time, and then turning it around and winning championships without Shaq. I'm like,
Yeah.
love
Yeah,
Kobe.
the threshold for pain, yeah, definitely incredible for
Oh
sure.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
He should have been a
absolutely.
hockey player, man. Should have been a hockey
Yeah,
player.
I guess he was pretty good at soccer too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, last question for you, Stephen, and we'll get cooking. But I asked you, um, so like you've done really well. What is now you called it your superpower, but like what are you really good at right now? What are you focused on right now? And your answer was just straight up coaching people. So just touch on that. This will be our last question.
Yeah, so we do run a 7-day-a-week schedule, and I have 4 opportunities throughout the week to run meetings, and our alpha meetings that we run. We do it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and those meetings are jam-packed with great content. I mean, I learned from the best, literally. I learned from the best. Sabs is an incredible developer of people, the way he understands life and the world and the way he seeks knowledge. I've just borrowed from that. I've had really, really good mentors that I've observed, and I'm in some of the most respected people's ears in our business. You, Brennan, Sabs, Adam Dorfman, Gareth Roberts, Fareed is somebody that I'm reaching out to more and more. And I don't stop. I take it very seriously that I have to show up prepared every single day. I wear Oura Ring in the Whoop to make sure that my energy is always top level. I have 25 pill bottles on my standing desk behind us. I have a morning stack, an afternoon stack, an evening stack. I do at-home blood work. I take my energy and focus so serious. By the way, if you really want to dial it in, ChatGPT is amazing. It is amazing. So I weigh all my food to know exactly how many calories and macros and micronutrients I'm getting. I have absolutely no deficiencies in my body. I take my personal development very seriously. I don't do cheat meals, and it's not because I want to be ripped or anything like that. It's because I want to have absolute excellent energy every time that I show up for my team. The thought, right? Quit drinking alcohol 3.5 years ago, and the thought of showing up to my office to add value to these people and not being my best self, it actually stirs a little bit of emotion in me. So I take it very, very seriously. And I rock that shit. I come in there prepared every single day. It's conversation driven, and it's always new stuff. And luckily we have such great people in our office where it's always a new group of people that I'm speaking with, which is great. And there's exclusivity where people really, they like if I didn't run one meeting last week, and a bunch of the team was super bummed that I wasn't in there because they were just looking forward to sitting and interacting with me for 30 minutes. And I take that seriously. And I know Sabs did, and I know you do. Your preparation is admirable. I know Brennan does. Last point on Kobe, I went and saw Lewis Howell. Lewis Howell, I think. Howell is. Anyways, he has a podcast, over 2 million subscribers. He did interview Kobe. It was a really good interview. And he was speaking on the day when he actually interviewed Kobe. And he said that he was in there 3 hours before they started, just sitting in silence, just sitting, meditating, and just mentally preparing. And I don't take it lightly. These people are here to work with me, their families, their children, their future children all depend on me showing up and adding value. So I need to be ready 100% of the time, not just 99.
I love that. I mean, it just goes to show, even in my introduction of you, I had the impression like just a very respectful guy. And it's so nice to see that playing out with your people, that you're sensitive to their time, you're respectful of them, you want to add value to them. And so I just think you're doing a great job, Stephen. So I am looking forward to seeing what you do here. Go ahead.
I wasn't always. I think I was a jerk when I first got in the business. I think I was a jerk. I was probably really nice to you because I respected you, but I was a competitive jerk that I didn't really care about people's feelings. And now I don't think that way. So
It's funny. I heard people saying that about you. Like, people were talking, just so, full transparency, people were talking about stuff, right? I think it was Stephen Reif that was talking the most crap. And I'm like, that doesn't seem like the guy that I know.
Yeah.
I'm like, that doesn't sound like, oh, he's selfish or he's this or that. And maybe you were, but you certainly struck me as a genuine guy who, wanted to serve other people. Like, that was important, that you wanted to help others.
I always had it in me. It's when you combine that with wanting to win, it's like what person that's coming out, you don't know. I do feel like I'm my authentic self in that I don't operate with ego. I operate just with love and passion, and it's much more fulfilling.
Yeah. Well, that's what Kobe went through. He had a hard time relating to people that were, eating chips in the off season, not working out. You know, listen, I'm a millionaire. I'm in the NBA. Like, you know, why are you working 12 months of the year, Kobe? Like you're out of your mind. So Kobe really had to, again, learn the muscles of leadership. And once he got that, combined with his ability to perform and being like the ultimate athlete, you know, we know the result of that, 5 championships in 20 years.
The respect and belief of somebody that you truly look up to is absolutely magical. People will accomplish so much if somebody that they really look up to believes in them. And I remember that constantly. I remember that.
Great. Well, thank you, Stephen Garcia. We'll check back in with you in a few months. I mean,
Appreciate you guys.
think you really did a great job on this call. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Have a good one.
Okay, see you.